Now, I am going to discuss a very important food law called Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. The name itself indicates that the act deals with various aspects of food safety and standards through various regulations made thereunder. The act was enacted by Parliament to consolidate various food laws. In fact, prior to this Food Safety and Standards Act, there are various food laws concerning food and food products, and there were various department and ministries to implement these laws. So, there are multiple control on foods. To overcome this, Food Safety Standard Act was enacted during 2006, so that all the issues related to food safety and standards is dealt by a single authority. Under this background, Food Safety Standard Authority of India was established on 5th of September 2008, so that all the issues are handled by a single department. It is an autonomous body under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The mandate of this authority, it is commonly known as FSSAI. The mandate of the authority is to lay down science based standards for food and regulate manufacture, storage, distribution and sale of food, so that a safe and wholesome food is available for human consumption. I mentioned that prior to Food Safety and Standards Act, there are various food laws. One of them is Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954, which is also called PFA Act, which was enacted in 1954 to control or prevent the adulteration of food. In the early 60s, there was rampant adulteration in food product. To overcome this or to control this act was enacted. And thereafter, to implement the act, PFA rules were framed in 1955 for enforcement of the act. The enforcement of the act was done by state government. Violation of any provision of the act attracted imprisonment as well as punishment imposed by the court. So, there are another act called Essential Commodities Act 1955. During this period, it was observed that there was a shortage of essential commodities. It was an artificial shortage done by some unscrupulous businessmen for making profit. There was a hoardings, so that essential commodities was not available easily, and it was available in high price. To control that, this act was enacted. There are various control orders for specific category of food, like fruits and vegetable, milk and milk products, meat and meat products, oil products, etc. The basic emphasis of these orders were to control the production at the factory or industry level by various hygienic measures, and also quality standards for different products. These orders have been repealed after the enactment of Food Safety and Standards Act. These are Food Products Order 1955, Meat and Meat Food Products Order 1973, Milk and Milk Products Order 1992, Solvent Extracted Oil Products Order 1967, Edible Oil Packaging Regulation Order 1988, and Vegetable Oil Products Control Order 1998. All these orders have been repealed under the enactment of the Food Safety and Standards Act. There are about 100 sections in Food Safety and Standards Acts. I will discuss some important sections. The sections 3 deals with the definitions of important terminology. One of them is food. Food is defined as any substance, whether processed or unprocessed, intended for human consumption. This include primary food. Primary foods mean the produce of agriculture or horticulture or animal husbandry, which is also covered under the purview of the Act, but which the primary food, if it is in the hand of a farmers or fishermen, these are not covered under the purview of this Act. Then genetically modified food, this is also a new category of food covered under the Act. Though genetically modified food is not yet cleared by the Ministry of Environment and Agriculture, but it is expected to be allowed in India also. Then infant food, packaged drinking water, alcoholic drink also, it was earlier under excise, not covered under PFA Act, it is covered under the FSS Act. Chewing gum and any substance including water used in the food during its manufacture, preparation or treatment is also covered under the definition of food. Then food safety is defined as assurance that food is acceptable for human consumption according to its intended use. Now, here intended word is very important, because some food may be safe for particular group of consumer, but may not be safe for another group of consumer. For example, a food containing high fat and sugar, high calorie, it may be safe for a normal person, but may not be safe for very old age person. Similarly, food containing certain additives like caffeine or artificial sweetener is not suitable and safe for infants or children. Then adulteration is defined. The adulterant is any material which is or could be employed for making the food unsafe or substandard or misbranded or containing extraneous matter. But this adulteration is actually basically is an intentional addition of some harmful materials to the food with a view to making extra profit. Then contamination. Contamination is not intentional, it may be present during processing, or it may be present in the food as a result of production at the farm level, processing, preparation, treatment, packaging, transport, or as a result of environment contamination. Now, substandard food is also defined as article of food which does not meet the required standards and specification made under the regulation. Now, coming to the unsafe food which is injurious to health. A food becomes unsafe due to various reasons, like the article itself. A article may be some composition chemicals which is harmful to certain consumer, like allergens. Some people are intolerant, lacto intolerant, or gluten in wheat. They are otherwise safe, but it is unsafe for certain consumer. Then it may be unsafe from the packaging material itself, or if the food contains filthy, rotten or decomposed or diseased animals or vegetable substances which makes a food become unsafe, or a food is processed unhygienically, whereby there may be some microorganism or some contamination, or a addition of unpermitted ingredients, or even permitted additives beyond permissible limits. There are limit for certain additives like toxic heavy metals or color or preservatives. So, if it is beyond the limit, then the food becomes unsafe. Now, there are some certain important provisions of the Act, like section 22 deals with the genetically modified foods, I have already mentioned. Then organic foods, functional foods like food supplement or health supplement, and proprietary food means the food which are not standardized in the existing regulations, but it is prepared with permitted ingredients and additives. Then section 24 deals with the restriction of advertisement, prohibition of unfair trade practices. Some people make the high claim regarding the product, regarding health benefit or otherwise, or quality. So, this type of advertisement, misleading advertisement is not permitted under the Act. Then there is a heavy punishment or penalty for misleading advertisement. Then 25 section deal with regulations of imported foods to India. Earlier there are not much regulation on imported food. As a result, many substandard or poor quality food used to come to our country with no control in quality and safety. So, there is a detailed regulations on imported food derived from these sections 25. Then section 26 and 7 prescribe the responsibility and liability of food business operators. Emphasis is given on self regulation, so that a manufacturer or food business operators supply safe food to the consumer of their own interest. Then section 28 lay down the procedure for food recall. Food recall means if a food there is a complaint of a particular food or article of food in the market, it is to be withdrawn immediately, but it is not a simple withdrawal. There should be reporting or notification of this type of unsafe food to the concerned authority of this area, food safety authority, and then food safety authority give a rapid alert system for the consumer, so that no consumer consume this unsafe food. So, this detailed food recall procedure is laid down under section 28. Then section 23-24 deals with prohibition and emergency prohibition orders. Suppose a food is found to be unsafe, reported to be unsafe on an analysis. So, this particular food may be prohibited to sell in the market, or a production may be prohibited. And in case of a food is found to be very injurious to health, then emergency prohibition order is issued by the designated officer of this area immediately, without waiting for the prohibition order from the food safety commissioner of the state. Then section 35 deals with notification of food poisoning by notified medical officer of the area, but the medical officers of the local area are notified for reporting food poisoning. Then there is a new provision under section 40, the purchaser may get a food sample analyzed from a notified lab of that area. This is a new provision. Then section 40, actually 48 to 65 deals with penalty and punishment. There is a graded penalty and punishment depending upon gravity of offences. Earlier in PFA Act, there are only punishment by imprisonment of minimum 6 months or above, depending upon the offence. But in this Act, FSS Act, there is a graded penalty for food which is not found to be unsafe, but non-conforming due to misbranding or substandard. So, there are penalty clauses for that, financial and penalty, and if it is food is found to be unsafe, injurious to health, then there is a punishment by imprisonment. Then coming to the composition of food authority, that is FSSAI, the chairperson of the authority is head of the FSSAI, and there are 22 members, of which 1/3 are women. Out of these, 7 members from concerned central ministries like Ministry of Food Processing, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Ministry of Environment, and then 2 representatives from food industry. One of them is from small scale industry and one is from large scale industry. 2 representatives from consumer organization, 3 eminent food technologists or scientists, 5 representatives from state government or union territories, 2 representatives from farmers organization, 1 representative from retailers organization. So, there is a very balanced composition of the authority. Then there is a central advisory committee under this authority to advise the authority in different matter in policy framing, risk assessment, etc. And this committee is comprises of Chief Executive Officer of FSSAI and Commissioner of Food Safety of all states, representative from food industry, agriculture, consumer organization, research bodies and food laboratories, and also invitees from concerned ministries. Then there are scientific panels in framing standards and other issues related to science based standards and other things of safety, food safety. Initially there are 8 scientific panels on functional foods or nutraceutical, methods of sampling and analysis, food additives, flavoring substances, processing aids and materials in contact with food, contaminants in food supply chain, pesticide and antibiotic residues, labeling and claims advertisement, genetically modified organism and foods, and biological hazards. These are the 8 scientific panels, but subsequently one more scientific panel has been established on fish and fisheries products by notification. Then there is a scientific committee. Suppose a particular subject matter or issue is not covered under individual scientific panel, or a matter is overlapping with 2 scientific panels. This type of matter is addressed by scientific committee. The composition of scientific committee, the chairperson of scientific panel, particular scientific panel, and then independent scientific experts who are not part of scientific panels comprising the scientific committee. Then there is another body, is National Codex Contact Point. It is under FSSAI. Actually, in fact, FSSAI function as national contact point to deal with all codex matter. The codex is the international standards framing body and participation in codex meeting. Authority is responsible for enforcement of the act, enforcement of the act. Actually, FSSAI, an officer designated by Chief Executive Officer of FSSAI at central level. There are 5 regional offices, designated officers are appointed for central licensing and addressing other issues at the central level. And then commissioners of food safety of all state, their function is to frame policy decisions and overall in charge of food safety enforcement. And then designated officers appointed by the commissioners of food safety, they are actually district level officer responsible for licensing and registration of food business and enforcement of the act. And under them there are food safety officers, actually they are basically field level officers. Their duty is to inspect the food establishments and draw sample, and these samples are sent through designated officer to food analyst of that area. And if the food sample is found to be non-conforming, the food safety officer initiate action, panel action, either to the executing through executing officer or to the court. So, these are the responsibility of the food safety officer. But if there are qualifications prescribed for commissioner of food safety, designated officer and food safety officers. Then analysis of samples of food articles. The sample of food is drawn by food safety officer, is sent to the designated laboratory of that district, and there is a food analyst of the laboratory, the overall in charge of the laboratory. Food analyst is minimum qualification is MSc with chemistry or biochemistry or food technology, like this. So, he get the sample from the designated officer and analyze and send the analysis report to designated officer for taking further actions. There are about 72 laboratories, 4 are at central level and for terms of the referral laboratories, and 68 laboratories are at state level. But Food Safety Authority may notify private enable accredited laboratories for analysis of food. Recently, FSSAI has notified about 96 laboratories, mostly in private sector, for analysis of food sample. The analysis report are sent to concerned designated officers, I have already mentioned, and if there is a sample is found to be non-conforming, the designated officer initiate action, either it is penalty by fine or punishment by imprisonment, depending upon the nature of complaint, and this initiation is done through food safety officer. Then penalty and punishment for offences, I have already mentioned, there are graded penalty, one is by fine only and another punishment by imprisonment or by both. The quantum of penalty decided by adjudicating officers of the district. Adjudicating officer means who adjusts the quantum of punishment, he has got the power of civil court. And for punishment which is punishable by imprisonment, the matter is referred to the normal courts. For penalty in substandard food up to 3 lakhs and misbranded food up to 5 lakhs, these are the penalties. There are also penalty for manufacturing unhygienically minimum 1 lakh rupees or other non-conforming of samples. A different type of penalty is prescribed. And for misleading advertisement or adulteration of food, minimum penalty is there, it may go up to 10 lakhs of rupees. Punishment for providing unsafe food causing grievous injury, imprisonment up to 6 years and fine up to rupees 5 lakhs or both. For providing unsafe food causing death, minimum imprisonment of 7 years and also minimum fine of rupees 10 lakhs. Adjudicating officer or courts may cancel the license or order recall of food from the market or issue prohibition orders for such offences. In addition to penalty by fine or imprisonment, his license may also be cancelled. Now, I have already mentioned about education and food safety appellate tribunals. Educating officer is appointed at the district level at the rank of district magistrate or additional district magistrate, and this the decision of the executing officer, if the food business operator is not satisfied, he may appeal to a food safety appellate tribunal. This is also at district level or state level. Then there is special courts for the cases which is punishable by imprisonment, which is normally referred to the normal courts, but normal courts are overburdened with number of cases. So, for speedy trial of the cases, the special courts are being set up by the state government at district or state levels. Then role of FSSAI as per the Act, what are the role, duties and functions. The basic function is to frame rules, regulations and frame science based standards in alignment with international standards of different article of foods. Then they provide guidance to the state government in framing rules and regulations, and also guidance to accreditation of certification bodies and laboratories. Collect and collate data on food consumption, incidents and prevalence of biological risks, contaminants and residues of contaminants in food, and introduction of rapid alert system for such unsafe food. Rendering scientific advice and technical support to the central government as well as state governments in framing policy. Capacity building for various stakeholders. Promote general awareness about food safety to general public. Procedure and guidelines for risk analysis for different type of foods, and methodologies, food safety plans, etc. Procedure and enforcement of quality control for imported food in the country. I have already mentioned there is a detailed import regulations have been made by FSSAI. It is to be notified soon for proper regulation check of imported food, so that substandard quality of food is not imported to our country. Then status of implementation of the Act. Food safety commissioners, designated officer have been appointed all states and union territories for enforcement of the Act. In fact, designated officers have started functioning, issuing of license almost all state online. Then adjudicating officers are appointed at district level by all states. Appellate tribunals are also notified at state level. Online licensing at central level has been in operation since long, and also in many state level online licensing is in place, and registration also at state or local level by state government is in place. Then authorized officers are appointed at imported ports in the country like Bombay, Chennai, Cochin, Haldia, and even dry port at Delhi for clearance of imported foods. A number of private, I have already mentioned, enable accredited laboratories has been notified for testing of foods. In fact, there are 96 private laboratories have been notified by FSSAI. Training program are being conducted for capacity building to enforcement officer like designated officer, food safety officer or adjudicating officer at state level and also at central levels. Awareness program is being conducted for food business operators, because small food business operators are not aware about food safety or quality, because this is a new act. Earlier act, this small very small food business operators or retail shop vendors are not covered, but under the act all the food business operators are covered under the purview of the act. So, small business operators are not aware about the requirement. So, there is a massive awareness program is conducted by FSSAI for awareness, so that all the food business operators come under the purview of FSSAI licensing or registration, and a safe food is manufactured or handled or sold to the consumer for the interest of consumer in our country. Thank you.